You fall asleep over an old book. The candle flickers. Ink dries. And the moment your eyes close, you are no longer dreaming of him. He is dreaming of you. You open your eyes. There is no silence. There are war horns screaming through stone. The walls are burning. Arrows blacken the sky. Men die where they stand. And then you see him. A man in a white mantle marked with a red cross, standing upright while the city collapses around him. He doesn't look at the enemy. He looks at you. An arrow tears into his chest. Blood floods the cross. Someone shouts that he is wounded. He answers calmly, "I'm not wounded. This is death." The city falls. Ghosts of fallen knights pass through you like smoke. Hands pull you into darkness. And in the depths, you see what history never recorded. His grave. Unmarked. Forgotten. You wake up. The clock shows the exact moment you fell asleep. But the book on your desk is no longer the same. In the margin, written in red ink, a sentence wasn't there before. If you can read this, the blood still remembers. And that's when you understand. This wasn't a dream. It was a summons across 7 centuries. And Guillaume de Beaujeu didn't come for forgiveness. He came to make sure someone finally finishes what he died for. You fall asleep surrounded by facts. Dates. Names. Margins filled with notes about the fall of Acre, 1291, the last breath of the Crusader states. History says it was inevitable. Your dream says otherwise. The silence breaks first. Not gently, violently. War horns rip through the dark, so loud they vibrate inside your chest. You open your eyes and the world has changed. Stone walls rise around you, cracked and burning. The air tastes of ash, salt, and iron. Arrows scream overhead, blotting out the sky like a moving shadow. You are standing on the walls of Acre. Men are dying everywhere, not like legends, but like soldiers. Slipping on blood. Screaming names. Praying in fragments. Below the walls, an ocean of banners moves with terrifying discipline. The Mamluk army. Real. Documented. Unstoppable. And then you see him. Guillaume de Beaujeu. Not as a myth, as a commander. Dust on his armor. His white mantle torn, the red cross darkened by smoke. He moves through chaos with cold precision, issuing orders, pulling men back from useless charges. This is not fanaticism. This is damage control. History never tells you this part. A knight rushes toward him, shouting that the walls will not hold. Beaujeu doesn't argue. He already knows. His eyes scan the city behind him, civilians, churches, streets that will not survive the night. Then the impact. An arrow slams into his chest. Not dramatic. Not clean. Just sudden. Hands grab him. Voices shout. Someone says he's wounded. Beaujeu looks down once. Then up. "I am not wounded," he says calmly. "This is death." The city shudders as a section of the wall collapses. You are pulled backward, not by hands, but by time itself. The noise stretches, distorts, collapses into a deep, suffocating silence. Darkness. Then something colder. You are no longer on the wall. You are standing before a grave. No name. No marker. Only a faint red cross carved so shallow it's almost gone, as if someone didn't want it found. And just before you wake up, a thought that is not yours enters your mind. They recorded the fall of the city. They never recorded what was taken from it. You wake up gasping. The book is still open, but one page is now folded, precisely where the dream ended. And you know, with terrifying certainty, this was not imagination. This was memory, looking for a witness. The city doesn't fall. It screams. The ground shakes as the walls finally give way. Stone collapses like rotten bone. Dust erupts in choking clouds, blotting out fire, moon, and sky. You run, not because you choose to, but because the living are being crushed beneath the dead. This is not a heroic retreat. This is panic with armor. Knights tear off helmets so they can breathe. Horses slip on blood-slick streets and break their legs, screaming like men. Civilians flood the alleys, dragging children, relics, fragments of lives that won't survive the night. Doors are ripped from hinges. Churches are broken open from the inside. Above it all, the sound. Steel on steel. Screams cut short. The deep, rhythmic drums of the Mamluks advancing street by street. You see them now. Not faceless. Not savage caricatures. Disciplined. Silent. Efficient. They move like a tide with blades. A Templar beside you is pulled down. Hands claw at his armor, dragging him beneath bodies. He doesn't die screaming. He dies gurgling, eyes locked on yours as blood bubbles from his mouth. This is where legends rot. Fire spreads. Oil poured from rooftops ignites the streets below. Men burn alive inside their armor, pounding at their own chests, unable to rip it off in time. The smell is unbearable. Meat, leather, ash. Then you hear it. A horn, not panicked. Controlled. Templars. They are regrouping near the harbor. You push through smoke and bodies until you reach them. Beaujeu's men. Fewer now. Faces blackened, eyes hollow. They are forming a defensive line, not to save the city, but to buy time. Time for ships. Time for something else. A knight whispers a prayer that doesn't sound like one. Another is shaking, laughing softly, blood dripping from his gauntlet like rain. And then you see it. Not gold. Not weapons. A group of knights moving against the flow, toward the inner city. Guarding a chest wrapped in oilcloth and chains, marked with symbols you don't recognize, but somehow feel. This was never mentioned in the chronicles. A scream erupts behind you as the enemy breaks through. The defensive line collapses. Templars are swallowed whole by the press of bodies. You are pushed forward again, dragged by the current of the dying. As you pass the harbor, you glimpse the sea, black, waiting, indifferent. And in the chaos, a voice cuts through everything, sharp and final. Burn the maps. Break the seals. Let history lose the trail. The words echo inside your skull. Then the world snaps. Darkness slams shut like a coffin lid. And you wake up knowing one thing with absolute certainty. Whatever left Acre that night was never meant to be found again. Night swallows the harbor. Not quietly, violently. The sea is black, thick with oil, ash, and floating bodies. Ships slam against the docks as panicked hands try to load the last survivors. Ropes snap. Men fall between holes and vanish without a sound. There is no order anymore. Only commands shouted too late. You are pushed onto the pier as arrows rain down, hissing when they strike water, thudding when they strike flesh. A knight beside you takes one through the throat. He drops instantly, hands clawing at nothing, eyes wide, frozen in surprise. The ships are already pulling away. Templars form a final rearguard, shields locked, holding back a tide they know cannot be stopped. Every second they hold is paid for with lives. Not heroic deaths. Necessary ones. Then you see it again. The chest. Smaller now. Different covering. Still chained. Still guarded by knights who move with terrifying calm. One of them presses a sealed parchment into another's hand, wax marked with a broken cross. A code. Not written to be read. Written to survive destruction. A horn sounds from the city. Wrong pitch. Enemy signal. The line breaks. The harbor explodes into chaos. Men jump into the sea, armor dragging them down like anchors. You hear the splashes, the screams, then nothing as the water claims them. Fires spread across the docks, turning wood into torches, ships into floating pyres. One vessel breaks free. Too early. Another never leaves, crushed against the quay as burning debris collapses onto it. The sound is unbearable, wood snapping, men screaming inside holes as flames consume the air. The chest is thrown aboard a ship already drifting. No ceremony. No prayers. A knight cuts the rope himself. The ship pulls away. From the shore, you watch the last Templars disappear beneath bodies and blades. The sea reflects the burning city like a twisted mirror of hell. Then something impossible happens. The water changes. Waves rise unnaturally fast. Wind howls from nowhere. Ships scatter as the storm swallows the harbor. Sudden, violent, undocumented. History records a storm that night. It does not record what vanished within it. As lightning tears the sky apart, you glimpse the ship carrying the chest, tilting, disappearing into black waves. Gone. No wreck. No survivors. No cargo ever recovered. The sea closes like a mouth. And in the darkness, a whisper curls through your mind, ancient and cold. The city fell. The ships vanished. But the secret was not lost. You wake up choking on salt that isn't there. Your hands are shaking. And for the first time, fear hits you clearly. If this ship was never found, why are you being shown where it went? You wake up drenched in sweat. Not from fear. From certainty. Your hands move before your thoughts do, pulling books from shelves, opening digital archives, cross-referencing dates you know by heart. Acre fell in May 1291. The storm is recorded. The ships are listed as lost. All of them. Except one. Buried in a forgotten maritime registry, misfiled under a different year, a single line doesn't belong. Unidentified vessel sighted off the Cypriot route. No cargo declared. Your pulse spikes. No cargo. That's impossible. You follow the trail deeper. French monastic records, churches that survived revolutions, fires, purges. In a small provincial church, far from Paris, you find it, a ledger sealed behind stone, catalogued in the 18th century by a priest who added one note in trembling Latin. These pages were not meant to be read in one lifetime. You touch the parchment. The world shifts. The dream returns without warning. You are back at sea. The storm is alive now, waves rising like walls, the ship groaning as if it knows it will not survive. Men are praying aloud, not for salvation, but for forgiveness. Lightning reveals faces twisted with terror as the chest is dragged below deck. Then the impact. Not rocks. Something else. The hull screams. Water floods in. The ship tilts violently. Knights are thrown against walls, bones snapping. One of them, wounded, barely conscious, is dragged toward a smaller vessel tied to the stern. A lifeboat. He clutches the sealed parchment. The code survives because someone does. The dream fractures. You're back in the church, gasping, your fingers pressed against the exact symbol you saw carved into the chest, a broken red cross, deliberately floored. A misdirection. Not a grave marker. A trail marker. The ledger continues. It speaks of a knight who reached France under a false name. A man who refused burial honors. Who demanded anonymity. Who donated nothing, claimed nothing, except one request: to be buried where no one would look. Not in a tomb. Not under a cross. But within the walls. Your stomach tightens. Church walls. You look up slowly at the stone surrounding you. And that's when you realize the most horrifying truth so far. You are standing inside the place where the story was hidden, not ended. The church is silent. Too silent. Your hand presses against the stone where the symbol was carved. It shouldn't move. Centuries of mortar should resist you. It doesn't. The wall exhales. A deep, hollow breath escapes from behind the stone, carrying the smell of damp earth and something older, rot mixed with incense. The block shifts inward with a sound like bone grinding against bone. A hidden passage opens. No candles. No torches. Just darkness swallowing the light behind you as the stone slides shut on its own. You are not alone anymore. The corridor is narrow, unfinished, clawed out of the earth rather than built. Scratches line the walls, not decorative. Desperate. Fingernails dragged through stone. Someone was sealed in here alive, or something tried to get out. You move forward. Your footsteps echo wrong, delayed, as if the space itself is listening. Then you see it. A recess in the wall. A body. Not a skeleton. Preserved. Wrapped in oilcloth long turned black, armor fused to flesh, the red cross barely visible beneath centuries of decay. The face is collapsed inward, mouth frozen open in a final breath that never escaped. This is no honored burial. This is containment. Your mind flashes back to the dream, the lifeboat, the storm, the sealed parchment. This man survived the sea, but something followed him. Carved above the body, almost erased by time, is a sentence in broken Latin. He carried it within him. A sound breaks the silence. Stone shifting behind you. The wall is moving again. Panic hits full force. Your chest tightens as the corridor narrows, dust raining down, the church above you pressing its weight into the tomb. This place was designed to close, to erase intruders. You pull the oilcloth aside. Beneath the fused armor, something is bound to the knight's chest, not a relic, not a weapon. A folded strip of skin. Marked. Coded. The symbols burn into your mind instantly. You've seen them before, in the margins of the book, in the ledger, in the dream. This is the final version, the one never copied. The stone grinds louder. The exit is shrinking. As you tear the fragment free, the corpse shifts. Not much, just enough. The jaw cracks, and from the hollow of the mouth, a sound escapes, not a voice, not air. A memory, flooding your mind all at once. Fire. Screams. Beaujeu standing on the wall. And a final command spoken to the dying knight. If I fall, you become the grave. You stumble backward as the wall seals shut behind you. The darkness remains. But you're no longer afraid of it. You're afraid of what you're carrying out of it. Because now you understand. Guillaume de Beaujeu was never buried. He was distributed. You don't leave the church. You escape it. Cold air slams into your lungs as you stagger into the night, clutching the fragment wrapped in cloth. Your hands are bleeding. You don't remember cutting them. Adrenaline erases details. The fragment burns through the fabric. You lock yourself inside a rented room before dawn and lay it out under a single light. Skin. Human. Tanned, scarred, stretched thin like parchment. The markings are not decorative, they are functional. Coordinates disguised as prayers. Dates hidden inside battle psalms. A sequence that only makes sense if you already know how Acre fell. This wasn't written to preserve an object. It was written to preserve truth. The dreams return in flashes. Beaujeu again, wounded, standing on the wall. But this time the angle is wrong. You see what history never allowed. He wasn't killed by chance. He steps forward deliberately. He draws fire. An order without words. The arrow hits exactly where he knows it will. High. Fatal. Immediate. A sacrifice. Not for glory. For time. Time for evacuation. Time for the code to leave the city. Time for the secret to fragment and disappear. Your hands shake as the final pattern resolves. The skin map doesn't point to one place. It points to 7. 7 sites aligned along old Templar routes. 7 keepers. 7 failures. Only one remains sealed. And someone knows you have it. Your phone vibrates. No signal. No notification. Just a single image. A photograph of the church wall, taken from the inside. Then a message. You were not meant to find the 6th. Your breath catches. 6th. You look back at the markings. You are holding number 6. Meaning one thing is certain now. You are not the first to follow this trail. And whoever erased the others didn't do it to protect the secret. They did it to make sure no one could finish Beaujeu's design. Another memory hits, not yours. Beaujeu's voice, calm even in death. If they chase you, you are close. If they try to save you, it is already too late. You turn off the light. Outside, footsteps pours beneath your window. And you finally accept the truth you've been avoiding. This is no longer about history. It's about who survives knowing it. You don't run. You move first. The final coordinates don't lead to a battlefield, a fortress, or a lost island. They lead somewhere far more dangerous. A place no one questions. A place everyone trusts. A military cemetery on the outskirts of a modern city, rows of identical stones, disciplined, silent, anonymous by design. The kind of place where memory is standardized and truth is simplified. You walk between the graves as dawn breaks. The markings on the skin fragment guide you to one plot. No name. No rank. Just a date carved shallow enough to fade. Your head pounds as the dream returns one last time. Beaujeu stands before you, not dying, not wounded. At peace. This is not where I am, he says. This is where they stopped looking. The ground trembles. Not from the earth. From realization. The re-grave is aligned perfectly with the others, except for one detail. It breaks the pattern by a fraction of a degree. A deliberate flaw. The same broken symmetry carved into the cross. The same misdirection used 7 centuries ago. You dig. Not deep. Just enough. There is no body. No relic. No gold. Only a sealed iron cylinder, modern in shape, ancient in purpose. Inside, copies. Letters written across centuries. Testimonies smuggled through wars, revolutions, purges. Proof that Beaujeu didn't die trying to save the Holy Land. He died to end the war forever. The documents expose the machinery behind crusades, financial engines, manufactured faith, blood converted into profit. The same structures still operating under new names. This wasn't a treasure. It was a weapon. Truth, preserved long enough to outlive its enemies. Your phone vibrates again. This time, no threat. Just silence, the kind that follows surrender. As the sun rises, the dream fades for the first time without pulling you back. But before Beaujeu disappears, he leaves you with one final sentence. We lost the city so the lie could not survive it. You stand alone among the graves. History hasn't changed. Yet. But now it can. Because the secret was never meant to be hidden forever. It was meant to wait. For someone who would wake up